Alright, good morning YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about why I personally dislike the push-pull leg template and any of its variations. Legs, pull, push, pull, legs, push, however you want to set it up. If you follow a push-pull legs system, it's not the program template that I personally like or would program for. Now, I have used it in the past, I have programmed it in the past, but I've always run into the same problems that I personally have not found a satisfying answer for, which I feel other templates can address to a better degree. So, with a push pull legs template, it is a 6 days a week program if you were to run it in a single week. Now, I get it, time is to some extent a or the labels we put with time are a social construct, whatever that means. And to an extent, you could, just do push pull legs rest, push pull legs rest, but it's kind of an inconvenient way of doing it because your rest day is now going to be all over the place. And if you do want to have some type of structure in your life because of work, when you are able to be a bit more social with other people, you want your rest days to kind of have a little bit more structure so you have a little bit more freedom in your life. At least I would assume. Now, with the push pull leg template, there's a couple of reasons why I really dislike it. For one, it is partly that if you were to run it in a way where a lot of the issues are resolved, where you do take a rest day after you do push pull legs or whatever you decide to reorganize that with, you are now running into an asynchronous split, and that can be inconvenient from a lifestyle perspective, and it becomes very difficult for some people to maintain. If, for example, that is not an issue, then who cares? If any of these things do not apply to you and your implementation of push pull legs, then who cares what I say? I'm only sharing my opinion about the template and my thoughts on it, so it's something to consider, but it's not like it's a gospel or anything like that. But the fact that it is an asynchronous split can prove to be an issue for some people because they're just like, well, I want my rest days to be on this specific day because I want to have time with my family, my or other passions that they have in their life. So having that rest day now moving around so much might not be ideal for them. Another thing that I dislike about it is that it is a 6 day split. If you run it for um, like let's say you're fitting it into your 7 day week, right? It is a 6 day split. You're going to the gym 6 days a week, but you're only hitting each muscle twice. That is somewhat a waste. If you are really strict with the push pull leg template, you are going to the gym 6 times a week, but each muscle is only getting hit twice. To me, that is just a misapplication of time, energy, and effort. If I'm going to the gym that much, I want to make sure that I'm getting a little bit more out of my program than just hitting a muscle twice per week because I can get the same exact effect with something like an upper lower. Or if I'm trying to just divide my volume into those two things, you can do a bro split, cut down the frequency, do less days, or hit each muscle a bit harder each day, and then go from there. These are some things that are a lot easier to do on a, let's say, a body part split because now you get full recovery. Because the biggest issue with the push pull leg template, more than anything else, is that aspect of recovery. Now, there are ways to get around this, and the ways that get around this are going to be for people who, for one, for whatever reason, don't do compound movements, which is not something I recommend. But if you don't do compound movements, I think the push pull legs kind of has a little bit more validity to it just because a lot of the issues I'm going to bring up only kind of matter if you do compound movements, which most people should be doing. Even if you are a bodybuilder, you should be doing compound movements. But for the average gym goer, I know that they choose to not do them. And if you, for example, for whatever reason, whether it be injury history or just personal preference in your training, then maybe that might pertain to you. But if you use compound movements, the push pull leg template might not be the best for you. And here's a couple reasons why. If you were to do something like a legs push pull, the issue with it is if there's not a rest day after that pull day is going to affect your leg day because the low back should be involved. If you're doing a pull day, it should involve something that involves the lower back and the posterior chain, whether that be a pull from the floor or a barbell row movement. If your pull day includes that, that is something that's going to provide a fatiguing, like it's going to fatigue your lower back. It's going to, when you go into your leg day the next day, it's not going to be the best. And you could do something such as putting your deadlift on a leg day rather than a pull day or a back day because most pull days are just back days when they are usually programmed. And What does that end up happening? Yes, your recovery might be a little bit better because of that, but now your back day is literally just, pull-ups or lat pull-downs and some machine rows and bicep work, and then your leg day, now you're only hitting your legs twice a week because you're hitting your squats and deads in the same day. So you run into this issue of you're going to the gym 6 days a week, you are training that often, but you're only hitting each muscle group twice. You are having this a day where it's kind of just fluff and pump. You are not able to push the most amount of effort into certain movements because you are now fatiguing certain muscles that are going to be involved in the next one. And then to get around that, you have to throw around these rest days into in between, making your split asynchronous. And these are all issues that arise from the template of push, pull, legs, legs, pull, push, whatever it is that have you. Now, that doesn't mean that this template is irredeemable. I've seen more acceptable versions of it. I've seen really horrible versions of it. The issue with any program, or the thing that you should be taking into consideration with any program, is the fact that so long as you are able to be consistent with a program, it doesn't really matter what anyone can say about it. Consistency is key. Now, the reason why I bring these things up, though, is because if consistency is no longer an issue, the efficacy of your program, the efficiency of your program, the effectiveness of your program, these are now things that you should take into consideration. If consistency is of no consequence to you, if you know for a fact that you are going to be very consistent week in, week out, day in, day out, you're going to push yourself, you're going to go to the full extent of whatever the program demands of you, there are things that you can do that make it a bit easier to, not necessarily easier, but you get more out of your program in this way. If you were to do an upper lower split, you're going to circumnavigate a lot of the issues that I mentioned, and now you open up 2 days to do other things, whether that be a roaming accessory day, so something you do such as for bodybuilding, or maybe something where you do like some calisthenics and some cardio, so that way you're going to be a bit more well-rounded. And these are things that are not going to be available to you on a push-pull leg split, simply because where would you put it? If you're training 6 days a week and you're all weight training on those days, where would you put something like a cardiovascular training day, an accessory day, a GPP kind of day? Where would you put that? If you are focused purely on bodybuilding, the program doesn't really matter for you, so long as you recover effectively and you push yourself, who cares? But if you do have some element of strength goal, some element where you're trying to get better on certain movements, squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, barbell row, whatever, these are movements that are going to need a little bit more attention with the recovery. And like I said, if let's say you do a push-pull legs, now on your leg day, you do heavy squats, and then the next day or very soon after, without much rest, you're going to have a deadlift day. How's that going to work? Or let's say you do legs pull push or legs push pull, then on the pull day you do some type of deadlift work, and then on the next day you have leg day again. It doesn't really sit well with me, simply because, like I said, your options are put a rest day there, now you have an asynchronous split, or you go into it and you have such a light workout that it may or may not even be that effective. Whereas if you do some other split, you can get a little bit more out of your training because there's more recovery sprinkled in within the week. So part of the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I'm going to be reviewing a lot more push-pull leg programs. Push-pull legs is the most popular training split for whatever reason. And I am not going to say like I think it's like the devil or anything like that, but if, for example, you have a push-pull leg program and you want some element of size and strength, I think that there are better ways to go about it, and I just want to make sure that you have a groundwork or a framework to understand my arguments for each of the programs that I review that are a push-pull leg. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kurel King, stanstrength.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.